Hi, so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about UML Basics. Well, first off, UML stands for Unified Modeling Language. It started being developed in 1997 by the Object Management Group. You don't need to know anything about the Object Management Group or when this guy started, but a little bit of history is not bad. Currently, we're doing version 2 point something, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you guys today. It's just a tool. UML is just a tool like pseudocode or flowcharts. It's a graphic aid so that if you're ever doing a larger project and you describe the project, the class structure anyway, you can do it using a pretty picture, and whoever you're talking to will get much more out of it quicker because they'll understand the UML too, because they're also software engineers. That's the basic idea. All right, so like I just said, it's a class diagram and it's a picture. So basically it consists of boxes and arrows. There's more complicated stuff in it, but this is UML Basics, so we're just going to stick with boxes and arrows. All right, so every class that you have in UML is broken into 3 parts, basically. You have a class name. In the header, you've got some variables right underneath that, and then the section underneath that, you've got some methods. All right. And yes, I'm doing this in Java. I mean, this really works for any object-oriented programming language. I'll stick with Java convention for all of this because I'm doing this for a Java class. But you get the point. So if you wanted to call these guys fields, instance, variables, etc., whatever your programming language goes with, you could do that. Instance variables, while working for most of the stuff I will talk to you about today, that's obviously not going to work for stuff that's also static. So variables is probably the best word to use there. Just try not to use instance variables, although most of the time you're going to be talking about instance variables. All right, the other region is functions, methods, whatever you want to call them. Any of those things is fine. All right. After that, you've got little pointers and arrows that will be drawn from regions. You might have some shapes over here, that like an open diamond and maybe a closed diamond, and then you'd have other boxes, other places on your diagram. None of that, except for the arrows, am I going to talk about today. I'm just going to talk about the main box, the 3 parts in it, and then if I get to inheritance, I will talk about inheritance using those arrows. Right. So without any further ado, I am going to model a class for you. All right, so in Java, when you build a basic class, so say you made a public class game object. All right. I like teaching with video games. I feel people are way more likely to listen to you if you're talking about their favorite game. So I'm going to base this on a very basic game premise. All right, we've got game objects. The game objects have things like hit points, they have names, and then they have some associated methods that let you do stuff to the game object. All right. So I'm just going to say that they have some private member variables or fields, whatever you want to call them. One of them is going to be a string, and it is going to be the name field. All right. It's also going to have a private int HP or hit point field, and then I'm not going to define any of the constructors. You know the default behavior of Java. If you don't specify constructors, it gives it a constructor. This HP variable will get an initial value of 0 in that default constructor, and the name will get an initial value of just an empty string. All right, so I'm just going to move straight down to the other methods. All right, so we're going to have, let's say we have public methods, the accessors and the mutators. I'm going to have a public void set name. I'm going to have that take in a string. I'm going to call that string or parameter new name. And then basically it's just going to say name equals new name, and that's it. All right, that's all it does. It's just a basic setter in Java. All right. Now the accessor that goes along with that guy, public, is going to return a string, get name, doesn't take anything as input, and it just returns the name. All right, really simple accessor and mutator for the GameObject class. All right, now what about hit points? What do we want to do with hit points? Well, I don't want to be able to set hit points, so I'll do changing of the hit points with something else. But I do want to be able to get the hit points, right? So we're going to need to have some way, some accessor for the hit points, since I made them private. So nobody else can ask for them unless they use this accessor. So get HP. All right, don't pass it anything, and it just returns the HP instance variable of any object of this class. All right, so that's a very, very basic GameObject class. I'm going to give it one more method. That method is just going to be basically, hey, print to the screen this thing. Now, I'm going to call it public for now, but I reserve the right to come back and change this later. I'm also going to say that it's void, returning nothing, and I'm just going to say print game object. All right, doesn't take in anything, and all it does is a system.out.println, and it's just going to say, hey, spit out the name, and also my hit points. All right, that's all it does. So an example of what you would see if you ever called the print game object would be, say you named your character Hero. You would call, when you ran this, you would get out of this something along the lines of, hey, the hero has 15. All right, so maybe you might want to tell it that it gets 15 hit points, but hey, whatever, right now that's what it spits out. All right, and then close off this class. Okay, so to model this in UML, first thing you got to do is draw a box. So nice big box. All right, give it a header, and then centered in the top you would either type or just write darkly the name of the class. The name of the class in this case is GameObject. All right, so you've got to the two sections, right? You've got to have a top section that has your fields, and you've got to have a bottom section that has all of your methods, right? So that's that top section. I'm just going to put the name up here, all right, in the bottom, and then the HP. But in UML, you don't put the type in front of it. I don't know the specifics of why they did it this way, but the standard way to do the data type for any of your variables is to put a colon after the name and then actually put the type immediately following it. So name was a string, HP is an int. All right. Now that's all we've got for variables, so I'm going to separate this field into the bottom spot so that we can do the methods really quick. So these methods you would just say, hey, we've got a void method named setName. All right. It takes in a parameter named newName. And that parameter is of type string. And it doesn't return anything. All right. So after that, we've got getName, which we do know returns something, but it doesn't take anything. So it's just that, and then it returns a string. All right, and that's just how you would do that. So basically anywhere where you would see a data type, it's going to come after either the variable or the method. Just put a colon between the two and put it immediately following. All right, so we've got two more methods down here really quick. See if I can finish those up. All right, so you've got get HP, and that returns an int. And then after that, you've got your print game object. Which doesn't take anything either, and it doesn't return anything. If you wanted to do that, you could, or you could just leave it blank like I did before. Alright, and that's the basic setup for our game object. Now, I'm going to talk about accessibility here for a little bit, and then I'm just going to end this. Alright, so you see these accessibility modifiers. Alright, so the basic symbols for these guys, for private, the symbol is going to be a minus sign. Right? For public, the symbol is going to be a plus sign. But then you've got two others, right? You've got protected, and you've got your package private / default. All right. Package private or default is a tilde, and protected is a £. All right. So if you don't know what these accessibility modifiers are, there's definitely going to be another video on those guys soon. So that's it for today. We basically built this class, basic class for a game object, and we described it using a UML code diagram. All right. Next UML lecture, we'll talk about more advanced topics.